Hi, everyone. This is Marilyn Bradford, and I would like to welcome you to my Left Turn podcast. What is your left turn? Writing a blog, parenting in a different way, letting go of the old because you are aware of something greater. Left turns are choices we can all make. It's about a willingness to step into the unknown in any area of your life, to trust yourself, to risk creating or trying something new. It's about letting your true uniqueness shine. The greatest people who have lived, artists, statesmen, writers, explorers, musicians, have all been people willing to turn left. What capacities do you have that you have not acknowledged? What would your life and the world be like if you were willing to turn left? Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Left Turn podcast. And I have one of my favorite people with me today, Suzy Godsey. Suzy Godsey wears more hats than anybody else I know. She is the technical director of Access. She's a whiz. In fact, people have called her a technology whisperer, and I think that's true. I heard rumors of her calling up companies and saying, well, I've been using your widget for this, that, and the other, but I have this question. And they're like, you can't use our widget for that. She's like, well, I've been doing it a couple of months. So she gets technology to do what she wants it to do. She's also amazing with animals, with Talk to the Animals, Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider. She leads their program. She does the Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider facilitator program, usually with Gary, I do believe, Douglas. And also she invented something called Essie, which is amazing. I've taken one of her classes, and I'm just going to read because I couldn't remember it otherwise. It's a type of body work that assists you becoming more aware of embodiment and being able to change the molecular structure in your body, which is amazing. And she's just a totally good humanoid being.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Welcome, Suzy.
Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you're looking at some of the left turns in your life, and what would they be? What are your favorite ones, or your most, I don't want to say successful, your most the ones that impacted you the most, or?
Yeah,
Go.
I think my first really big left turn in life was to basically not go down the road of doing college and all that, like, I was expected to do, like a lot of people that finished high school in Germany went that route. And
Yes.
it just never really, I looked at all the different topics and subjects and what you could become with it and all this kind of stuff. And I remember going even to the Chamber of Commerce and looking at what are the different options I have if I study this or study that. And so then I just decided I'll become a farmer.
Nothing wrong with that. However, it just doesn't fit what I know about you, really, even though you have your own little ranchette out there in New Mexico.
True that. But so yeah, but choice creates awareness, as our, good
Yeah.
friend Dr. Daney always says, basically. So yes, I became an apprentice in farming, literally started an
Oh,
apprenticeship in farming
interesting.
and did that for 2 years and then realized that in order for me to really pursue this and to really go out there, I had to marry a farmer because I didn't have property.
Right.
And to acquire property was near impossible. I mean, I didn't have the money. My parents wouldn't have that kind of money. And then so I was like, marry a farmer, and it freaked me out. So I quit. So I literally quit all of that and I was like, I'm not doing that. Um, and then I think the next really big left turn in my life was when I moved to the United States. And in the meantime, I had started working with my stepdad, who's a photographer, and I've always loved photography. So I just started working with him. And then I decided I wanted to pursue photography. And it was funny because I did not want to go to school in Germany, but I really wanted to go abroad. So I looked into the English speaking countries because that was, from my point of view, the only thing I could have a chance with because I had some English in school. By no means could I really speak English, but I felt like that was a language I could acquire. So I looked into England, Australia, and the US, and I found a great school in the US and applied and got accepted, and off I went.
We're so
And so,
glad.
yeah, thank you. Um, and it was never with the intent that I would stay here ever. At first when I got there, I actually thought, oh my God, I was really homesick and all of that. But after just maybe 6 months or so, I just started really falling in love with all the aspects of it. And that's where I actually came in touch with Access too, many years later.
Mhm.
But that's how I became part of this amazing, another left turn in my big life.
Yes, for all of us, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, here we are, and I'm sure there's many other smaller left turns, but I think those were the big milestones so far.
Wonderful. Well, if you become aware of, look at your relationships with animals and with what goes on traditionally with animals, whether it's horses or dogs, my sense is that you've had some psychological, energetic, you just see it differently. You be within it in a different space. And I know it's made a huge difference for both the animals and for people who've taken your classes. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you. I it is so funny, because as we really all know, we don't really look at ourselves in the way that other people see us, right? So we we think, well, what I do, what I am is normal, meaning everyone else can do that, is that. And I have to admit, like, it took me a long time being in Access, using the tools, listening to people to recognize, oh, there are some things that I do differently. And then also recognizing that in other people, where they are being different in ways that I don't function like that, or I wouldn't do it that way, or I wouldn't be like that. And just really recognizing every person's different approach, different way of being in the world. Um, but then also really acknowledging that for me. And I think that was a big step for me too, was the acknowledgement of there is something different. You know, um, and then having the tools of Access has been such a gift because it's been a great way to explore that even further. And, you know, I was a very militant animal advocate. Well, maybe not quite. There's worse people than me out there. And, the tools have really helped me to really refine that in a totally different way and to give up a lot of that weird stuff that I was first involved in and to really look like, hey, what actually works?
Mhm.
But what I do get is that my sense of animals and us is a bit different than other people's apparently. And so how do I describe all that? I would say for me, a lot of it is pragmatism, um, and really also the willingness to look at what can every animal individually, but also as the species contribute to my life.
Mm.
And there are certain things that every animal has that is so different. I sometimes, when I walk my dogs, I'm like so fascinated with their ability to smell things and, find me if I hide behind a bush and they just follow the smell, and there they are and like look at me and I'm like, yeah, that was cool. Or but then even looking at other things like insects, can a fly contribute to me? And what can a fly contribute to me? What is that? And just really constantly looking at what else can I receive from the animals, from the insects, from the plants, from the earth, and really kind of just get more and more of an awareness of what everything is, pretty much energetically speaking. And that's been a lot of fun, and that's been a great expansion of my life, really.
But you
So
talk to them, correct? Or you talk in, can you describe that, please?
well, most of the time we as people talk at them, right?
Yes.
And a lot is really about more on the listening part. A lot of times my sense is that if we start to listen more, we get to we get to receive a lot more. And then talking at them gets minimized, because a lot of times when we talk when we talk to our animals, we always have some kind of purpose.
Mhm.
um it's, well, it's either a command, or it's something we want from them, or it's an expectation we have. But if
Right.
we really start a conversation, it becomes like different, because then you start to also recognize who you're dealing with, because not every animal is a chatterbox, you
Right.
know. Just like with us, I mean, you can sit next to a person and not talk for a whole evening and be completely content.
Yes.
And you can also have a very lively conversation with someone where basically nobody stops talking for a whole night and be very content with that too.
Yes.
And it's not that one is better than the other, but oftentimes we think animal communication is this or is that, instead of really just looking at who am I dealing with here and what is the conversation that we can have.
Mhm. And being so present with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about another thing with animals. What makes the approach of conscious horse, conscious rider different from more traditional approaches to horses and riding and riders and all of that?
Yeah, thank you. That's that's a great question. To me, it is really that we are so much more looking at the energetics of everything. So
Uh-huh.
whether that's the communication with the horse, whether that is what's going on for the horse itself, or anything else, it's really all about the energy. And so that makes it very different, because this is not a class where you learn how to communicate with your horse, or where you learn certain tricks to um, deal with your horse better. It's more about really developing a trust to each other,
Mhm.
recognizing how do horses function, and how do we function, and how can we actually apply um, ourselves in a way that makes sense to the horse. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times when people have trouble with their horses, it's not because they don't have the knowledge. It's more about that they are missing something energetically. Something is up, something is going on an energetic level, either with the horse or with the communication they're having with the horse. And what do I mean by that? It can often be as simple as a decision. So for example, we had a lady that was afraid to ride her horse, and so her horse was constantly lame,
Ah, very
right?
cooperative of him.
Yeah. But there was nothing wrong with the horse. The vet couldn't find anything wrong. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the horse. So these are the kinds of things where it's like, yeah, in hindsight, it's really obvious. She didn't want to ride because she was afraid. Her horse made it really easy for her to not have to ride,
Mhm.
or not even confront the issue. Because a lot of times, too, like when we're not really willing to be aware of something, then we kind of go around creating some kind of limitation,
Yes.
just so we don't ever have to look at it. And I know you, Marilyn, know this very well also with the people that you work with,
Yeah.
so many times. Um, it's really about not desiring to look at what's up, what's
Right.
up.
What? It's avoidance of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing to me how our animals pick up on that.
Oh, totally. Because
Yeah.
to them, they don't speak the
Right.
language, they don't speak English, German, Russian, Chinese, but they are very fluent in energy, and they perceive these kinds of things that are going on in your world. And if you are next to an animal and you have stuff going on, the animal knows that there's something up in your world. They may
Yes.
not know exactly the details of it all, but they do perceive the energy of it. And they always, most of the time, they try to contribute to us in whatever way they can.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, do you make any connection between your talk to the animals, conscious horse, conscious rider, your incredible awareness of what's going on with animals in the moment, energetically, with your incredible capacity with technology? I mean, I remember once we were all in Langkawi, which is Malaysia, and Dr. Dane decided he wanted to do this class down by the beach. And not only did Suzy wire it all up, but she got all the translators and did what everybody else had decided was going to be impossible down there. So is there any connection there? Do you have a sense? Because I don't see them as separate really, but I'm not sure how to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in a way, to me, there isn't that big a separation either, because to me, um, the technology really also has consciousness. It has,
Mm,
you are basically also connecting to some molecular structure. And
yes,
so, in a way, I, of course, there's a difference because you're dealing with machines, you're
yes,
dealing, with certain mechanical things, and you're also dealing with electronics. And so, the one thing that I have always found to be very interesting is how often electronics will respond to us and our energy. And when we are being really intense, or when we're really being frustrated, or when we're allowing ourselves to have that intensity, a lot of times it will impact our machines, and I've seen a lot of people that have points of views about, I'm really bad at this, I hate technology, I don't like doing this at all. And then they're constantly having some issues with their computers, or this isn't working, that isn't working. And I do a little bit of the um, customer support for Access Consciousness when there's like a recording issue, and people will send me a screenshot of what is not working. It's not working, and I'm like, oh, it's working for me, so let's find out what's going on over there. Why is this not working for you? What is happening here? And to me, a lot of times it has to do with that, already that intensity of like, it never works for me.
yeah. Point of view creates your reality.
And I have to say, like, I have the point of view that um, I enjoy the technical things that we have in our lives today. I enjoy playing with mechanical stuff. And so for me, it's always this enjoyment of working together. So I don't usually get frustrated quickly. I mean, sometimes I do get frustrated. I would be lying if I didn't, but for the most part, it doesn't come easy when it comes to these things, and I stay pretty calm. And I really just always look and ask, so what else can we do here? What
Mhm.
is this? Can I change it? Like, I use the tools for that too, and allow really in the situation to kind of let it show me
Yeah,
what I have to create or how I can put it together. Um, and it seems that, like, oftentimes, really, this stuff will tell me. Like, I will see, sometimes we run into some issue and something isn't working, and there's four of us, like, looking at it.
mhm,
And, and then I see some people, like, starting to do stuff, and I just look at it and I go, what are you doing? Well, and I'm like, I don't think that's going to work. Can
mhm.
we all just have a little space for a second and just be present with this, and let's just actually look at this? Like, we know this worked yesterday, so what's going on today that's different? Or, and then usually the funny thing is something will ping.
Mhm.
Excuse me, something will ping, and then that's it.
And then that's it. And then you've got it. Yes, it's been amazing for me to watch you and the tech team and do various things. It's really like, wow. Um, beyond what I thought technology and working with technology was. It's wow. You've talked a little bit, or you've mentioned a couple of times about using the tools. Do you have two or three favorite tools that you would recommend to people?
Yeah, to me right now, the moment of the or the tool of the moment is the acknowledgement. I have to say, for me right now, this is one of the biggest things that has helped me so much in changing things, is acknowledging whatever it is that's going on. So acknowledging even if I'm in a bad mood, acknowledging that that I had done something that was actually working or created change, acknowledging where I did change something that I didn't think I did change, you know, acknowledging other people for what they're choosing, and not judge it, not try to fix it.
Mhm.
And really that right now for me is one of the ones that I hadn't really used so much before, and this has been really, really helpful to me, is to really look at everything and go, okay, so what can I acknowledge about this? What can I be grateful for about this? And just really let it show up for me in that way.
I love that tool because it gets me out of right and wrong and judgment.
Mm.
It's so much about, just as you said, being with it. What's going on right now? And I know many of us judge our bodies, judge this, judge that. And when I can just acknowledge, hey, I'm doing judgment. Okay, what else is possible? If I weren't doing that, what would I be aware of? What's actually going on? I love
Mhm.
that tool too. Any others that you've been finding very useful recently?
Who does this belong to?
Um, that's a big one.
I think that's the most, most people know about it, and probably still we're not using it enough, or we've already decided, well, that can't be true, that it's not mine, you know. So, yes, I'll ask the question, but then I don't actually allow it to change because I've already decided it's actually mine. And I think that's also one of those where, whew, in the beginning, when I first got introduced to that tool, I did the 3 days of who does this belong to in a row. And boy, did it change everything for me. I literally went from having a very busy mind all the time
Uh-huh.
to having a very quiet mind now all the time, which to me was interesting that that would actually work for doing it for 3 days. I have to admit, I did it for 5 days because there were many, many times when I didn't do it in those 3 days. So I figured I'd do a couple extra days to make up for the lost time. So, so I did it for 5 days, but I remember doing it really like diligently as much as possible. Of course, you do forget and you get sidetracked and all that. Uh, but like after those 5 days, I was like, whoa, the
Mm,
quiet was
mhm,
incredible.
mhm.
I really had a very quiet mind, and it's never gotten that busy ever again. Like I used to really have a racing mind all the time, and now there's a lot more space. And this is
Nice.
years ago. So
Yeah.
this was really astounding to me because it was really a lasting effect that this had, even though I still have to use who does this belong to a lot because golly, you still buy it quicker than
Yes.
than you ask the question,
Yes,
you know.
yes. I know that one for sure.
Oh God, we're
Well,
cute.
thank you so much, Suzy. I would, if people would like to get in touch with you, I would like you to tell them how they can do that.
It's pretty simple. Just go to suzygodsey.com. That I think is the easiest way. And then there's everything there that you can get in touch with me by or whatever. So, yes,
Okay, because you have
suzygodsey.com.
programs and classes and you do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Something for everyone, I would say.
Yeah.
Uh,
And actually, I just literally today started another thing again where I'm going to be going live every now and again to do contributions for planet Earth and the creatures on it, including us. And so it's called We and Earth. And
Hey.
so if you want to just subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can get notifications, or you can get notifications on Facebook when I go live, because it doesn't have a schedule.
Uh-huh.
And it's free, and I hope to get as many people as possible from around the world contributing. Today I actually brought in a webcam, a live cam
Oh,
from
goodness.
an eagle in Florida,
Wow.
who was sitting on his chick or her chick. And so I just want to do stuff like that. I am excited for the possibility, and what else we can create with all of this. So yeah.
Well, that sounds really exciting. I'm going to check it out. Thank you so much, Suzy, and thank you
Thank you,
for joining
Marilyn.
me today.
Well, and thank you for having me, Marilyn. Truly, truly, you're such an inspiration and such an amazing facilitator. So I am so glad that you're doing this podcast, and thank you. And I love all the guests that you've been having. So thanks for having me too.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Left Turn. I wonder what embracing left turns could create in your life. What magical possibilities might show up. Remember, when you choose left turns, you are joining a group of the most creative and brilliant people the world has ever known.